This is Single and Probably Asexual with Kendra K. Hello. Wow, I cannot believe that I am sitting here currently doing this. I want to preface by saying that, sidebar, I have had allergies my entire life, and now that I live in a van, I travel a lot and I get the joy of experiencing allergies all over the country. So if I sound a little nasally, which I currently do, it is because I've been sneezing since 92. Wow, that was really good. I'm also out in the middle of nowhere currently right now, and if you could also hear behind me, my dog is scratching his little neck. So if you hear a van pass by or another friendly camper pass by or my dog barking, I apologize in advance. Okay, to the intro. Hello, my name is Kendra K, and this is Single and Probably Asexual. I have been brewing and thinking about this podcast for nearly a year. After a couple of my close friends started their own podcast, Amy and Val, called What's Up Sexy, check it out, Spotify, iTunes. I absolutely adored listening to two of my closest friends talk, of course. But in listening to a lot of their podcast episodes, I still felt that I couldn't relate to a lot of what they were saying. And these are two of my best friends, so we relate on a lot of things. But it had me thinking, there has to be other people out there like me who live a certain way, who kind of go against the norm when it comes to dating, being in a relationship, their sexuality, maybe even as far as their gender as well. And so that was just a beautiful experience for me to go through, even though it kind of made me feel like I was still out of the box in a certain way, which I have practically felt like for most of my life. It gave me this opportunity. It birthed this new idea for me to do a podcast. Never in my life would I have ever guessed that I would do a podcast. I love podcasts. As I just mentioned, I live in a van, so I listen to them quite frequently. I just never thought that this would be my journey, but it feels so right within my bones, within my body to be doing this. And as terrifying and as scary as this is, I have been thinking about this for over a year. I feel ready, and I feel that this is going to be something that is going to be incredibly powerful for myself. And then, of course, I'm hoping for other people as well. Short little background on myself. I am a photographer. I photograph primarily boudoir, and I also do weddings and branding. Can't forget about branding. I love my job so much. And maybe 5 years ago when you would have told me Kendra's starting a podcast, it probably would have been something along the lines of body positivity, being comfortable in your own skin, which I'm sure I'm going to be talking a lot about on this podcast. But having this new opportunity for me to speak about something that I know and understand, which is being single, being demisexual, and probably being asexual, I'm so thrilled that I get to do a different outlet in life that is kind of similar to my job as a photographer, but also very different. But it is also in the same realm of something that I feel so strongly about. So I am so looking forward to this. And if you are ever interested in a photo shoot, hit me up. I will be doing a little Single and Probably Asexual podcast discount for you guys. And if you're interested in seeing my photography work, go ahead and head over to my website, kendrakphoto.com. You can also find me on TikTok and Instagram at kendrakphoto.com. But more on myself a little bit later, the next episode. My goal for this podcast it's many things, honestly. I am hoping that me being as vulnerable as I am going to be on this podcast and also talking about very vulnerable things with other people, I hope that it can be a great resource for people to continue to grow within themselves and through themselves, as I know it is going to help me do. I can't tell you how excited I am to talk to people who are perpetually single like myself, who identify on this broad spectrum of their sexuality, who are probably asexual or who are fully asexual, who are pansexual, all the things. I want to talk to everybody, not just people who are single and identify as asexual, but I want to talk to the whole lot of you. For instance, one of my first interview people that will come a little bit later in the season or in this, I don't know, podcast series, my friend Lona, who is a Tantra teacher and is also polyamorous. So completely opposite of basically who I am and what I am. And that's one thing that I'm also so excited for in this podcast, is to talk to people who are different. Maybe people who have a lot of sex, people who don't have a lot of sex, people who identify as being on the spectrum, or people who are straight. I want to talk to everybody, and I'm just really looking forward to getting the perspectives and the viewpoints of not only people who identify in the way that I identify, but people who don't identify in the way that I identify. Like I said, this is going to be a huge learning and growing podcast. I know for a fact that mistakes will be made and vulnerability will be shared, and as terrified as I am about receiving potential haters or commenters who like to just hide behind their keyboards, the benefit and the pros of this podcast outweigh all of those fears that I have had. All of those fears that I have had for the past year that were telling me that you should not do this podcast. So that's what it's going to be. It's going to be a lot of honesty. It's going to be a lot of vulnerability. You can expect to hear perspectives and stories and everything from people through all walks of life. And definitely those who are single and those who maybe identify as asexual. Again, like I mentioned earlier, I cannot wait to meet more like-minded individuals like myself and talk about what it really is within us or within society that keep us in this place that we're at. Or maybe not necessarily keep is the best word, but bring us to this place that we are in. We choose to be single. Our sexuality tells us that we're not really that connected sexually to a lot of people, and that's okay. Again, a whole reason why I was nervous to do this was just to also talk about something that I feel like hasn't been talked about a lot. I mean, even with being single, there's a lot of podcasts out there with single with the intent to date. Single and dating. I mean, we're not going to talk about a lot of that here. At least I'm not, because that's just not in my realm. But who knows? Say maybe a couple years from now, I do start dating someone. And you know what? As open and as willing to grow and learn that I am, I'll probably start to share that on this podcast. So again, I mean, it's just, I'm so looking forward to this, and I'm so looking forward to where this could go. I'm so looking forward to meeting and talking with people on all walks of life, everything. So I can't wait, and I hope you're excited too. And yeah, I think that's it. I think that's the intro. You're probably going to get a lot of that too. I definitely don't want this to be like a clean podcast. There will be cussing. There will be jokes. Tasteful jokes, of course. But it's going to be very real, very raw. And if you're willing to stick around, I'm excited to have you. So thank you, and welcome to Single and Probably Asexual. I'd like to take this moment to do a special little shout out to my friend Chelsea Marie Clark, who helped with the cover artwork for this podcast, and my brother Christopher Kirscher, who did the song intro. Thank you guys, and thank you to everybody, and we'll see you next time.